think it was mid-90s, sometime in the mid-90s, towards the 2000s. I think we had sessions at on Stenger Street, Rockbees. There's a place there. Everybody would go there and do their thing. It's all just people from all over the country. I think like students from tech back then, varsity, students from all over the place. People who come from all places basically. So there would be like sessions there. People come in, rap, and then this other day we decided we're gonna do our own routine because people just come in and do their own routines, and we do routines on basically all the instrumentals, whether it's Bad Boy, whatever, all these commercial songs, and then there'll be like a version maybe of a very hardcore type beat of that song, and then people come in and do their routines, and on top of that, and you had to kind of listen to the beat and then try and compose something on top of the beat. So we decided, okay, we're going to rap in Zulu this time, and we'll kill it. Because everybody just come in and rap like how everybody raps on TV or radio or whatever. So we did that. And it was crazy. I mean, it was crazy, like the power of that, like, it was me and Sabelo, we were from a crew called Soul Ethnics. And it was me, him, Dr. Zakes, I don't know if you know Dr. Zakes, and the other cat called Frankie X. So him and me were like sort of relatives, like, my older brother and his aunt had a thing, and they were trying to get married. So he, as a result, he could come into my house, and then we can chill, sleep over, and work on the songs, and so that's how it worked out. So the other dudes were not in this song, So
which other dudes?
In this particular, the other Zakes and the other dude, because a four-man crew.
Soul Ethnics was a four-man crew.
Four-man crew, okay. with a rotating member called XO.
Okay, rotating.
It's sort of like, I was in the crew, but it was not really in the crew. You get people like that.
Okay, yeah.
Like people who are close, but due to circumstances, they can't really be in the crew. So this is like a two-man song in the crew, like So it was in Zulu, the whole song.
Rockbees now.
Yeah, that was unheard of. Nobody ever heard anything like that at the time.
Of Zulu raps.
Zulu raps, like,
okay.
It was like, I'm sure somewhere someone thought of it, but never actually kind of in that session. And that's the only session I knew at the time. There will be like talent shows and things like that, like people who have like a song, maybe like a hook could be like in Zulu, or like a whole song, that type thing. So we did that song, and the reception was just like electric. It kind of brought me into the whole theater type thing, that feeling that you get, like what you're doing is right. Because as an artist, you can do things and go through emotions. There are things that you do that say in your mind and in your spirit, like, this feels right. So, and from that on, I never really strayed off that far from rapping and writing. From then on, it wasn't like a really conscious decision. It's just something that it's a feeling. I don't really, like, because I never did really have a specific idea of what I want to talk about. Because the reason why we even made that song was basically because a lot of songs like are about my style or my city, they were more about that. But when it comes to like storytelling, that is about somebody from your house, from your row of houses, like some time house, got nothing to do with your art, can actually relate to. There was none of that. Like, the songs are not about something that like grandmother down the road can understand and be like, wow, you're saying this. It wasn't about that. So the idea was to consciously speak to general people. It was about a guy who comes from the rural area somewhere and looking for a job, and it's about like the deception of city life, which is a general story with black people. Yeah, but in the one character type thing, it's funny and all those little things and tragedy in it, just to build up the story. A great story. Sure, in a sense, yeah, like everybody knew that this guy's rap and for me to do so, but always got some nice routines, nice songs.
Well, you were already known.
Yeah, I was just
but you were performing other people's things.
We're performing our own rhymes,
okay,
but on beats, on international beats, because there was no beat makers, none of that. It was just like you come in, you practice, like let's say you take a beat, like a crackback beat, and then you perform with it. But you gotta really hold it up though. You can't drown in it, Or another remix, because sometimes like popular instrumentals are a bit heavy. People know them for that type of hook or that. So you gotta take the remix and write on top of it, or obscure R&B songs, cut the loop, or whatever. Frankie X started becoming the cruise producer, because he would loop some beats and try to work out our own way of, instead of maybe like sometimes we find an intro is more hip hop and interesting to be a beat than the actual song. So you loop that part and use that at the session. Try and kill it the best way you can. Only one person is still everyone like, yeah, I guess he's still I know he still writes, he still records. I know this year once or twice he's been on stage, but it's not, what I mean, it's not like full-time artist or anything like that. Yeah. So yeah.
But you're a full-time artist.
Yeah. The other guys, like, I know Frank is still producing, making music, but I mean, he used to be a music head, really, more than a hip hop head. He used to play instruments and stuff like progressionally after even after the whole rap thing with the crew, he still continued buying instruments and playing. I'm sure he still got nice compositions and doing things. Maybe he'll release one magical project soon. I hope so. Yeah. So the other guy is not into the whole rapping thing anymore. Sure, it did.
When was that?
I think it was 2001 or 2000, around that time.
And then you continued as a solo artist?
Yeah, I did. It was difficult. It was difficult. I didn't know what I was doing, really. It was very scary, the whole thing, because you used to adding your 16 bars or 18 bars or whatever bars you're writing in a song according to the feeling, not even understanding the mechanics of songs and bars, and you're just rapping. So that whole thing of realizing that actually, or even what you're saying, is it even that interesting, you know what I mean? Because Durban is not very famous for big rap battles to kind of hold up the MC's name, and so there was a couple of years when that was like the thing, but there's no record companies, there's no, it's a bit desertry in that sense, you know what I mean? So whatever you need to do, you gotta, if it's for something in another place that will take for 2 years to do here, it'll probably take 6 years to get to do it yourself, and it takes a while to do it. So that, imagine going through that in years of realization, not actually realizing what's going to happen and doing it, but you in there and you realize, you know, that's going to take a while.
But like you're thrown in the deep end.
Yeah, and then you figure out yourself as you go along. You know,
okay.
That's the nature of the hip hop early beginnings in Durban. No one knew exactly what they were doing. It was all just figuring out as time went on. You know.
So you didn't have a mentor or someone?
Nothing like that, which is one of the reasons I left at some point to go to Joburg and to kind of understand, wrap my head around what is the music business.
Oh, you left for Joburg?
Yeah, I left in 2005, 6, something like that.
Like 3 years after your crew split?
Yeah, 3 or 4 years after. Yeah. So to kind of grasp what is music industry, what is that? Like, you know, because we don't know anybody who knows anybody. I kind of understand the business of what this is, the kind of commitment that's required, you know, the persistence, the paperwork, all those things, the actual music business, you know, the behind the scenes type thing, you know. To kind of even see the glimpse of that was something that needed to be seen. Totally different, especially at that time. Totally different. You know, it was an eye opener. You know. I stayed for like 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I couldn't stay there anymore, and also my mom got sick, and it just was like, go home and do the shit, you know, and still, you know what I mean? Because the idea is that we already put so much time into doing what we're doing, so we might as well be that guy who keeps doing what he loves to do, you know, which is not really easy, but you keep doing it, you know, keep doing it, refining, you know what I mean? 2009, yeah. There was a whole new generation, new scene, new people. It was a totally different place. In a span of like 3 years. It was wonderful, actually. It was a dream, like, because when we used to do sessions back then, it was like, you know, sometimes we have like parties, go to somebody's spot, and be like, Kwaito was big at the time, like, you know, you couldn't go to a party and play hip hop. You couldn't walk in the streets and a car goes past playing a hip hop song, and that's just like unheard of. So, you know, it was very secluded. We were just like this weird dudes. You know what I mean? With second pants.
Scruffy hair.
Yeah, we were those guys, you know. When hip hop was not cool to me, like hip hop head was not cool at all. So we used to dream about like a scene. Like we'd be sitting there smoking, drinking, dreaming if Durban had a scene, like a bunch of rappers, like companies, and industry, you know. That's what we always watched, industry.
So you left when like the scene was a bit of a dream, and then you came back,
It was,
and then there was
beautiful. There was like a scene, like a formal, you know. There was people, like a lot of MCs, like even producers, you know. There was like beat makers, like a lot of them. Like wow,
studios.
You know, like bedroom studios. There were like more of them. It was crazy. Like wow, what happened? Like, you know, the music, interaction with people, it was more clear. Like, you know, I'm glad like I didn't get into too much of being a rapper in a sense of a conventional rapper, like, you know, what's already known to be a rapper, lyrically, appearance-wise. I've never been that guy like that much, you know, in a sense that where I give myself into that. I've always been like, you know, I gotta be me. I gotta be recognizable in a different way, even though I'm there. But you know, I've gotta have a style of my way, of the way I dress, the way I talk. When you listen to my song, you gotta get prepared. You gotta switch off and get into another place. You know, it's always been the originality element. It has to always be there, you know, because that's how you breathe the style, really. Otherwise, you're just following. You're not the people anymore. Yeah, that had to be, there was a new focus, you need to get into business with this thing and start having a company. I need to, everything got into line. You kind of see from a different angle what the music industry is about, in a sense. Start informing yourself, and reading up on things, talking to people, and questioning, and trying to get into being on your own, really, and see how you can work and be an example in that sense. I don't know how to answer that. I guess it's people who listen to the stuff that I do.
In terms of your vision?
Geez, man, nowhere near to where it could be. Right now I'm learning to edit visuals and stuff like that. So it's not just only about music, because if you think about it, if you're a writer, you're basically like a company already, because you've got the blueprint to whatever the idea is, and if you can harness the idea to make it as complete as possible to what you initially dream of, or what could be possibly that you want to get out. So if you've got the tools and the ability to formulate that idea, that's where the struggle is, I guess. Of course. I mean, when in boarding school in 1990, when you're sitting in a dormitory getting high as a kite, and guys wanted to be an accountant, that guy wanted to be this, I wanted to be an artist, and I said I want to make something big and be like, infuse all the music into, it was just laughing and like, what are you talking about? I lived it. Like, I wish I could see some of the guys that would be sitting in that conversation and tell them, like, see, I did that. So that's what it's about, like, doing what you set out to do, and actually see it to the fullest.